Welcome to this bond valuation chapter again. Today is going to be an important day because all basic concepts we are going to learn. First, we will see different types of bonds and what are the special features of these bonds. The most common type of bond is coupon bond. So what are coupon bonds? Coupon bonds will pay a stated amount of coupon at periodic intervals prior to maturity. For example, a 10% bond issued for 5 years. A 10% bond issued for 5 years. Right. Now in this case, face value is 100 rupees. So in year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they will pay 10 rupees every year. And of course in the last year, they are going to redeem the principal amount also. So that is called coupon bond. This was an example of annual coupon bond. It can be semi-annual coupon paying bond also. So suppose the same question says paying coupon semi-annually. Now what will happen in this case? So it will pay coupon after every 6 months. So how much coupon it will pay? In the first half year, 5 rupees. So I will write here period. Second period means after another 6 months, 5. And this way, 10 times it is going to pay coupon. 5 rupees, 5 rupees, 2 times in a year, total 10 times it will pay 5 rupees, and in the last period, it will also pay 100 rupees. In the last period, it will also pay 100 rupees. So that is how coupon bonds work. It also pays the bond's face value at maturity like this. But sometimes the redemption can be at a premium. So in that case, I have to take the redemption value. For example, the redemption may be at 5% premium. So then in the last year, we will take 105. How do you find out the present value of a coupon bond? That I am going to discuss in the next page also. But for the time being, in case of coupon bonds, you write all the coupons. Last year you write coupon plus redemption value, and then you calculate the present value at your required rate of return, which will be given to you in the problem. Required rate of return is the rate of return investor desires. And then after calculating the present value, take the total. This is the what we will call intrinsic value or present value of the bond. So if you are not writing, no problem, because this will come on the part 2 of this chapter, valuation of different types of bonds. Very important, valuation of different types of bond. Coupon bonds are very easy. You just have to compute the present value of all the cash flows that the bond will generate. Okay, this is also the what we will call maximum price the investor is willing to pay. If they ask you the question, what is the maximum price the investor is willing to pay, then you will calculate the intrinsic value and you will say this is the maximum price the investor is willing to pay. This will give him his required or target rate of return. Now in this chapter, the most important type of bond is coupon bond, because maximum question will revolve around coupon bonds. Now we'll come to second one, that is perpetual bond. What are perpetual bonds? perpetual bonds do not have any maturity date. They will just continue to pay interest year after year, okay. So only coupons will be paid. There is no redemption date, hence there is no redemption value, and they will pay coupon at a stated amount at periodic intervals. So this perpetual bond also can pay annual coupon. Perpetual bonds can also pay semi-annual coupon. Then next is self-amortizing bond. Point number 3. Self-amortizing bonds means the principal amount is paid in installments. So the principal amount, instead of being paid at the end, it will be paid in installments. So every year, or in many years, you can say not all years but many years or all years, the investor will get coupon plus some portion of the principal amount also. So pays a regular fixed amount each payment period over the life of the bond. The principal is repaid over time rather than at maturity. So see how this kind of bond will work. Face value suppose given is 1000 rupees. Coupon rate given is 12%. Life or maturity suppose is given 5 years. And the problem will say the face value will be redeemed in 5 equal installments. Required rate of return they will give you, and they will ask you to calculate the present value. So what will happen now in such question? In year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you have to pay, that is the company which has issued the bond will have to pay 200 rupees, 200 rupees, 200 rupees 5 times, and plus it has to pay interest on the outstanding balance. So what is the interest it will pay? First year it will pay interest on 1000 rupees at 10%. So 1000 into 10%. First year the interest amount will be 100 rupees. Now 200 rupees has been redeemed. So in the second year the interest will be paid only on 800 rupees. 800 into 10%. 800 into 10%, 80. Then 200 rupees again redeemed. So in the third year the interest will be paid on 600 rupees. So this way you have to calculate the cash flows of each year. So these are the cash flows of each year, and then you compute the present value at your required rate of return. Take the total. This is the intrinsic value of a self-amortizing bond. So we'll solve a question on this after some time. Another very common bond which they ask in the exam and very important for further discussion also is called deep discount bond or zero coupon bond. So point 4 and point 5 are similar. What is a deep discount bond? A bond which does not pay you any coupon, but these bonds are issued at a deep discount, heavy discount. Sir, what is heavy discount? Like there was a company called IDBI. Face value was 1 lakh rupees. Face value was 1 lakh rupees, but it was issued at 2,700 rupees. Face value 1 lakh. Issue price 2,700 rupees. How much is the discount? 97,300 rupees. So the terms and conditions were that investor will invest 2,700 rupees today, and on maturity he will receive 1 lakh rupees. And what was that maturity date? 25 years down the line. So wait for 25 years. and after 25 years you will get 1 lakh rupees. So that is why it became very popular as a deep discount bond. So remember, no interest will be paid during this lock-in period. So you invest 2,700 rupees today, wait for 25 years, and after 25 years you will directly get that 1 lakh rupees. The difference between 1 lakh and 2,700 rupees itself is your income. And the benefit of this deep discount bond is that the difference between the sell price and the original cost of acquisition will be treated as capital gain. So suppose after 25 years you receive 1 lakh rupees. So your capital gain will be calculated like this. 1 lakh is your amount received, indexed value of 2,700. So you will apply 25-year index. That will increase the cost of acquisition, indexed cost of acquisition, and then you compute the long-term capital gain, which is charged at a low rate of taxation. You can sell these bonds on the stock exchange if they are traded. Then also you will have to only pay capital gain tax. So this is an advantage to the investors who are in high tax bracket. If you pay tax on interest income, you will be charged at 30% every year. If you pay capital gain tax, first benefit is indexation, second benefit is capital gain is charged at a lower rate of taxation. So you can get a theory question also, tick mark, theory question, write a note on deep discount bond. Same instrument is also called zero coupon bond. Then what is the difference? Zero coupon bond usually have a lower maturity date. Lower maturity date means deep discount bond may have a 20 years, 25 years maturity date. Zero coupon bond will have 5 years or 6 years or something like that, 3 years maturity date. Other features are same. They do not pay any coupon during the life of this bond, but these are issued at a discount. For example, face value 1000 rupees, issue price may be 600 rupees and maturity may be 5 years. So you will invest 600 rupees today. After 5 years they will give you 1000 rupees. The difference 400 rupees is your income for investing in that bond. During this 5-year period, you will not get any coupon. That is why the name is zero coupon bond. The difference between the discounted value, say 600 rupees you invested, and maturity value, say 1000 rupees or face value, represent the interest earned by the investor on such bonds. Okay. Now here I have added few more paragraph for a theory question. If they ask you what is a zero coupon bond or a deep discount bond, after explaining the basic feature, you also write the advantages to the issuer. Who is an issuer? The company which is issuing the zero coupon bond. Why do they issue zero coupon bond? Why don't they issue the coupon bond, the usual bond, that is coupon bond? The reason is that the issuer escapes the periodic payment. That too is the gestation period of the project. Let us say, for example, a company has to construct a road or a highway or a power plant. So in order to construct highway, power plant, steel plant, it will take some years before the project is ready. And you need funds today. If you issue coupon bond, then every 6 months you will have to pay interest. But the project is not yet generating the income. So therefore there will be difficulty in paying the interest. So when you issue zero coupon bond or a deep discount bond, you don't have to pay interest. Interest will accrue, but interest outflow in the form of cash outflow will not take place. Okay. So only you will account for the interest accrual, but the payment of interest will be only on maturity. All interest will keep on accruing and will be paid on maturity, and at the same time the interest that you are going to accrue will be allowed as interest expense for income tax purpose, and you will be able to save tax also. So there are two advantages. One, there is no cash outflow. At the same time, you get the tax shield on interest accrued, and the marketability of the issue will become significantly better, and issue expenses can be expected to come down with the amount raised becoming more. Okay. So it is also preferred by the investor. Instead of investing say 1000 rupees, you will have to invest only 600 rupees, and therefore company can market this instrument well. It can get more and more investors, and it can raise more and more funds. Also useful for such investors who don't depend on interest income for their livelihood. Suppose you are already a wealthy person, you already have a source of income, either salary, profession or other sources of income. You may not depend on interest income, so it is better that the interest keeps accruing and you receive on maturity. So now we'll see the benefit of coupon bond from the point of view of investor. So first benefit is already mentioned in point A also. The amount of initial investment is lesser as compared to partly convertible debenture or fully convertible debenture or non-convertible debenture. So if you issue in a normal debenture, you have to pay face value, let us say 1000 rupees. If you invest in a zero coupon bond, you will have to pay discounted value, let us say 600 rupees. Second reason why these are popular with investors in high tax bracket. If you are an investor in high tax bracket, on a coupon bond you receive interest on which you pay tax at the highest slab rate. But if you go for zero coupon bond or deep discount bond, then you will have to pay long-term capital gain. Benefit number one, you will be taking the indexed cost of acquisition. Benefit number two, long-term capital gain will be taxed at a low rate of taxation, and this investment is secured against the assets of the company. So the zero coupon bond or deep discount bond are usually secured instrument. That means in case if the company does not pay the principal amount on maturity, the investor can go to the court, can get the asset sold and recover their money. But if you invest in the company fixed deposit, the student of law will remember there is something called company fixed deposit. Company fixed deposits are unsecured instrument. Now we'll come to point number 6, option bond. So why it is called option bond? Because there are two options given to the investors. Sir, which two options? Cumulative, non-cumulative. So what do you mean by cumulative and non-cumulative? So that I will explain. If you tick mark cumulative option, so in the application form, you tick mark cumulative option. So what will happen? They will not pay you interest periodically. All interest will accumulate. Just like a bank FD, when you invest in a bank FD 1 lakh, after 5 years they give you 1,60,000. So what is happening is interest is accumulating, and on maturity, principal plus interest accrued will be paid. And then what is non-cumulative? Here interest will be paid periodically. Interest will be paid periodically. Suppose you are a retired person, old person, no other source of income. You receive 10 lakh rupees as pension or gratuity. What you do? You put this money in this non-cumulative bond. Every 6 months they will pay you interest, and you can use that interest for your day-to-day requirements, your livelihood, okay, your survival. So in order to attract both categories of investors, companies give two options, cumulative, non-cumulative. Accordingly, according to your requirements, your need, you tick the right option. Sometimes what they do, they also offer you redemption premium to attract more and more investors. These bonds were issued by companies like IDBI, ICICI. Next, you tick mark inflation bond. What are inflation bond? As the name suggests, the interest rate is adjusted for inflation. Thus, the investor get an interest which is free from the effect of inflation. In a country like India, inflation rate is very high. So let us say, for example, inflation rate is 6%. And government bond also gives you nowadays 6% interest rate. So you invest 100 rupees, with interest it will become 106 after a year. And inflation is also 6%. Commodities which will cost you 100 rupees today, the same basket of commodities will cost you 106 rupees after a year. That is inflation. So have you really gained? Have you really gained by investing in a government bond? The answer is no. In fact, sometimes what may happen, the inflation rate may be say 8%. Now see the magic. Your same basket of goods and service which was 100 rupees now will become 108 rupees. So in fact, you cannot even maintain the purchasing power of your money. You have lost the purchasing power. By investing in bond, you are losing money. Seems very funny, but this is true. That by investing in government bond, by investing in bank FD, we Indians are losing the purchasing power of money. We are getting negative interest. Okay, we are losing money. The same amount that will receive will not help me to buy the same goods and service which I would have bought a year back. So what the government or companies can do, they can come out with an inflation adjusted bond. So in such bond, the coupon will be equal to inflation rate plus some percentage, let us say 4%. Inflation plus 4%. So what is inflation plus 4%? If in a year the inflation rate is 6%, the investor will get 6 plus 4, 10%. So benefit is that he will get something more than inflation. So that is what he is actually earning in real terms. If inflation increases in the next year to 8, so then the coupon will be 8 plus 4, 12%. If inflation decreases to 3%, then he will get 7%. So what is happening? He is able to earn more than inflation. So some countries have started issuing inflation adjusted bond. Now next is floating rate bond. What happens in a floating rate bond? On this we will take a problem little later also. So today just discussion. Interest paid to the floating rate bond holders changes periodically depending upon the market rate of interest payable on gilt-edged securities. Right. So what they are trying to say is that interest rate is not fixed. Interest rate is variable. So they are also called variable rate bonds, or they are also called adjustable interest bonds. Sir, how does it work? Now in such bond, understand carefully, because we have to solve a question later. Coupon rate will be equal to some benchmark rate. What is benchmark rate? Internationally or nationally acceptable interest rate. Like internationally, LIBOR is an acceptable benchmark rate. LIBOR stands for London Interbank Offer Rate. London is a very big financial market. There the rate of interest quoted by one bank to another bank is called LIBOR. So the rate of interest on a floating rate bond can be fixed like this, LIBOR plus 2%, which means if in a particular period LIBOR is 5, the investor will get 7%. But if the LIBOR changes to 6, the investor will get 8%. If the LIBOR changes to 3, then the investor will get 3 plus 2, 5%, like this. This is just an example. Why will company issue floating rate bond? Your question would be, why would company issue a floating rate bond? Company issue floating rate bond because they expect that interest rate will fall. Because once you issue a fixed rate bond, fixed coupon rate bond, then every year you have to pay the same coupon, even if the market rate of interest has gone down. But if you issue floating rate bond linked to some benchmark rate which is expected to fall, then when the benchmark rate will fall, you will have to pay lower rate of interest. Why will an investor invest in a floating rate bond? Investor is expecting that in future the market rate of interest is going to rise. So he is expecting a rise because he thinks that in future RBI may increase the rate, demand for money will go up, and therefore I expect interest rate will go. So if he invests in a floating rate bond, he will enjoy the benefit of rising interest rates. These two people have two different opinions about the future movement of interest rate because they have a different set of data, information, different ways of processing, different expectation, and that is why it is possible company may be expecting interest rate to fall, whereas the investor may be expecting that the interest rate would rise. Okay. This is how floating rate bond operates. We will solve a question on that a little later. And now the next type of bond is point number 9, option tender bonds. So what are option tender bonds? So these are the bonds which have put option. Then you will ask, what is put option? Then I will reply that put option means it gives the right to the investor to sell back their bonds to the issuer, normally at par. Okay. So these are opposite of callable bond, but callable bond I have not discussed. The reason being, we will discuss in detail in a section of this chapter, callable bond. So first only I will explain putable bond. A company issues a bond in year 0 and the maturity of the bond is say 20 years. 20 years is a very long period. Now during this 20-year period, the investor may want to sell his bond back to the company. But once the bond is issued, and if it does not have a put option feature, the investor will have to wait for 20 years and then he will get back his money. But if it has a put option, he has a right to sell the bond back to the company after issue. Maybe after say 1 or 2 years, he is not allowed to sell, but after say 2 years, any time after that, up to maturity, he can come to the company and he says, sir, please take these bonds back. I want to sell these bonds back to you and I need my money. So why will such bonds be issued? One, the investor may like to redeem his bond much before maturity, so give him that choice. Second, it is possible that in future the market rate of interest may go up. So the investor would like to benefit from the increase in the market rate of interest in future, and therefore he may insist on the early redemption of these bonds. So these are called option tender bonds. It is opposite of callable bond. Briefly, I will explain today callable bond. What is a callable bond? A company has the right to redeem the bond before maturity. In option tender bond or bond with put option, the investor has a right to sell the bonds before maturity. In a callable bond, the company has a right to call back the bond before the maturity. So now we'll take a small discussion on the difference between bond and debenture. In this chapter, we are going to use these two terms, bonds and debenture, interchangeably, because as far as numerical questions are concerned, there is no difference. But then, what is the difference between bond and debenture? Why we use two different terms? Bonds are usually long-term securities issued by government. So it is basically related to government, because government promises that yes, we will pay your money. That government can be central government, state government, or any undertaking owned by them or by the development financial institutions. So basically it is related to governments, government agencies, whereas debentures are issued by private sector companies like Reliance issues debenture, Tata Motors Limited issues debenture, okay, Muthoot Finance will issue debenture, Shriram Transport Corporation will issue debenture. So these are private entities and we call it debenture. Now come to very, very important part 2. What is that? Valuation of a bond. How are bonds valued in the marketplace? Are bonds always trading at its par value? No. In the secondary market where bonds are traded, they can be valued at par, below par, or above par value. So we will see now in this section valuation of different types of bond. So kindly pay special attention, paragraph number part 2, para 1. Value of a bond is the sum of the present value of future cash flow. In one line they have summarized. When you invest in a bond today, you are going to pay some amount. What will you get in return? You will get the cash flow from the bond. So usually the bonds generate two cash flows, coupon for the period of the bond, and on maturity you get the redemption value. Okay. So you have to first make a list of what are the cash flows this bond will generate. What are the cash flows this bond, which the problem has given to me, generate on different dates? What is the required rate of return of the investor? Then compute the present value using the required rate of return, and that is what we will call intrinsic value of the bond, or the price the investor is willing to pay for the bond, right? Let us solve one small example. You have to participate now. To keep you engaged, I have kept some columns blank. So you have to write there, or you can write in your notebook as you please. So one example is printed here. Face value of a bond is 1000 rupees. Coupon rate is 9%. Years to maturity 5 years. Required rate of return 10%. And redemption value, assuming at par, is 1000. So we have to first check what is the nature of this bond, type of bond. So it's a coupon bond, because it is going to pay 9% coupon every year for 5 years. So first we have to now visualize what are the cash flows this bond will generate. This bond has a life of 5 years. So I have written here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What are the cash flows this bond will generate? First year it will generate only coupon 1000 into 9%. 1000 into 9%, 90, 90, 90, 90. First 4 years only coupon. Last year what will happen? It will pay 90 rupees plus it will also redeem the bond at par, that is 1000. So the last figure will be 90 plus 1000, 1090. Now, what is the required rate of return? This is the rate of return I want, so this will be used as a discount rate. So the discount rate would be 1 divided by 1.10, that is 0.9090. Again you press equal to, now you know how to compute the discounting factor. 0.8264 equal to 7513, again equal to 6830, again equal to 6209. So this is how you will solve a problem of coupon bonds. Now what you do, take your calculator and I will tell you how to do it fast. You have to multiply the same number 4 times, 90. So first time what you do with me, 90 into 0.9090 equal to, and I have to take the total of the last column. So I will use memory plus function, memory plus. So you will find you are getting 81.81. Okay, now again 90 into 0.8264 equal to memory plus. So that is 74.38. Again try 90 into 0.7513 equal to memory plus 67.62. 90 into 0.6830 equal to memory plus. Please write in the last column, please write 61.47 memory plus. Now 1090 into 0.6209 equal to memory plus 676.78. If you use memory plus function, you can save lot of time here because you don't have to type it again. Just press MRC, memory recall function, and the calculator will give you the total that comes to 962.06. So this tabular format was used only for explanation. Otherwise, you can directly solve by writing present value of coupon plus present value of redemption. And then coupon is an annuity, so you can multiply by annuity factor of 10% and 5 year with 90 rupees and PV factor of 5th year with 1000 rupees. Take the total, that will give you the answer. So you can solve by both presentation. You can follow a tabular presentation or just equation format. Value of the bond is equal to PV of coupon plus PV of redemption value, and then solve. So now I am going to solve one question number 1 on the next page. So first we will solve first 4 questions I am going to solve, which are based on annual coupon, So what is annual coupon? Annual coupon means the bond will pay coupon once a year, every year, once a year. Thereafter I am going to solve question on semi-annual coupon paying bond, where the bond will pay coupon twice a year. So first you come to question number 1. This is question number 1. Consider a bond of XYZ Limited with the following features. Par value rupees 100, coupon rate 12%, which means 12% of 100, 12 rupees will be paid every year, years to maturity 5 years. Find out the value of the bond if the required rate of return is 12%, 14%, 10%, which means I have to solve this question 3 times because 3 required rate of returns are given. This question has been designed to teach you something. If you see, in the first case, the coupon rate and discount rate are same. In second case, the coupon rate is less than the discount rate, and in the third case, the coupon rate is more than the discount rate. So we will see how the value of the bond will change with the change in the rate of discount. Ready? So you can solve in the book or you can solve in the notebook as you please. So first we will solve 12% discount rate. So when required rate of return is 12%. Now in this question we can save time by using annuity factor, because year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, every year the company is going to pay 12 rupees coupon. So don't you think it becomes an annuity, a finite annuity? And then in the 5th year the company is also going to pay 100 rupees. So this becomes one stream of cash flow, this becomes another cash flow. So this I can write as annuity. So 1-5, 12 rupees write down in cash flow column, and 5th year we will get this 100 rupees redemption value, right? Now what you do, calculate annuity factor on your calculator. Those who know how to calculate, go ahead, and those who don't know, follow me. There are two types of calculators, one which has GT function. So first I am going to explain to those students whose calculator has one GT function, 1 divided by 1.12, press equal to 5 times and press GT. So you will get this annuity factor there. And those students who don't have GT function on your calculator, 1 divided by 1.12 equal to memory plus 5 times. And once you are done, then you press the MRC function, you will get 3.6047. Now 5th factor, how do you get 5th factor? 1 divided by 1.12, press equal to 5 times. The 5th factor will be 0.5674. Right? Multiply, take total, again all clear. I need to add the last column, so use memory plus. 12 into 3.6047 equal to M plus 43.2564. 100 into 0.5674 equal to M plus 56.7436. MRC, you will get 100 rupees. Now in this kind of question, you must get 100 rupees. Why? Because your coupon rate is 12%, your required rate of return is also 12%, both are 12%. You want 12% rate of return, they are offering you 12% rate of return. So therefore you are willing to pay an amount equal to par value. If you pay 100 rupees, your target return or required return of 12% will be fulfilled. Now you solve case 2, when required rate of return is 14%. Now you go to 14% column, write down the discounting factor. DF means discounting factor. 1 divided by 1.14, 5 times equal to, then GT, 3.4331 is the annuity factor. 1 divided by 1.14, 5 times equal to, the 5th factor is 0.5194. Is it right? Now multiply and add. 12 into 3.4331, 41.197. 100 into 0.5194 is 51.94. Then you will take the total. Oh, this is much lower than 100. 93.137. Your required rate of return is more than coupon rate. You want 14%. Company is offering you 12%. Now, how will you earn a higher return when the company is offering 12%? in that case the bond has to be either issued at a discount or the bond has to sell below its par value. So if the bond sells below its par value, then only it will give that additional return to the investor. So second thing that you have learned is that if the required rate of return is more than the coupon rate, the present value of the bond will be less than the face value of the bond. It has to be less than face value, only then the investor will be able to enjoy a higher rate of return than the coupon rate. Right. So now I will give you case number 3. Try yourself. 10 seconds will be allowed to you. When the required rate of return is 10%, solve the last column. When the required rate of return is 10%, write down the discounting factor and discounted cash flow. Discounting factor will be 1 divided by 1.10, press equal to 5 times GT, write the factor, and for the 5th year 1 divided by 1.10, press equal to 5 times, write the factor. Now multiply cash flow with the annuity factor. How much are you getting? Check the answer on the screen now. 45.489, 62.092. Tell me the total. How much is the total? 107.581. That's right. Now you see in this case, see the observation. Calculation computers can also do. Student has to understand when the discount rate is less than 10%, less than coupon rate, 10% is less than 12%, the bond will be trading at a premium. This is called premium bond. And the present value of the bond is more than the coupon rate. So since your required rate of return is 10% and the company is giving you 12%, this bond will be selling at a higher than the face value price. So if the bond sells at a higher rate, your required rate of return or the rate of return that you will generate from the bond will automatically go down. So after solving this question, write down 4 observations. Write down 4 observations. There are 4 observations we can get from the above calculations, and these are very important for this chapter. I am going to refer question number 1 in my future discussion again and again. So first observation was, right, when required return is equal to coupon rate and the bond is redeemed at par value, the present value of the bond is equal to face value. The present value of the bond is equal to face value. The present value of the bond is equal to face value. That is your first answer when coupon rate and required return both were 12%, right? Now you see the second observation. When required return is greater than coupon rate. When required return is greater than coupon rate, case number 2, 14% was more than 12% and the bond is redeemed at par. Second condition is bond is redeemed at par. The present value of the bond is less than face value. The present value of the bond is less than face value. And what was the third observation? Write down. When required rate of return is less than coupon rate. The third case, 10% is less than 12%, and the bond is redeemed at par, the present value of a bond is more than the face value. The present value of the bond is more than the face value. Noted? And what is the fourth point I am going to dictate? The required rate of return and present value of a bond, required rate of return and present value of a bond are inversely related. Required rate of return and present value of a bond are inversely related. What is inversely related? If the required rate of return goes up, the present value of the bond will come down, and that is because you are using a higher discount rate. In the chapter on time value of money, you have learned higher the discount rate, lower the present value. So it is as simple as this. When you are using a high discount rate, the present value will be lower. Now, in some questions we are going to solve in next few hours, the problem will say a bond is trading at par. What is the problem saying? A bond is trading at its face value or at par. Required rate of return is 10%. Indirectly, they have given you one more information. Coupon rate is also 10%. So the bonds which are trading at par, and if they either give you coupon rate or give you the required return, it means the other figure is also given to you. So that is a hint in the problem. A bond is trading at a par whose required rate of return is 10%. Calculate whatever they want, which means the coupon rate is 10%. And if a bond is trading below its face value, that means you understand that its required return will be more than the coupon rate. Or in question where the bond is trading above its face value, then you understand that its required return is below the coupon rate. Now I am going to draw a diagram also to understand the relationship between the required rate of return and the present value of the bond. So please write down. In the book there is a space for diagram, otherwise write in the notebook. Relationship between required rate of return and price of the bond. Relationship between required rate of return and the price of the bond. Then on the x-axis you write required rate of return, on the y-axis you write price of the bond. Then you draw this curve, a downward sloping curve, not a straight line, but it should be a curve. Then the students will ask why it is not a straight line. The answer is because we are discounting. There is a what we call compounding effect, because we are using compounding as well as discounting using compound rate of return formula. So when I am taking 1 divided by 1.10 to the power 5, so actually I am using reverse compounding. That means interest on interest is also considered. If it was only the principal amount on which interest is considered, then the line will be a straight line. But because we are using the compounding formula in a reverse manner, interest on interest is also considered, and therefore the line cannot be a straight line. So this is the diagram. It will be a downward sloping curve, indicating that when your required return is lower, the present value or the price will be higher. When your required return is higher, the present value would be lower. Now we'll solve few questions. So come to question number 2. Again, just for practice, A is willing to purchase a 5-year rupees 1000 par value bond having a coupon rate of 9%. So what is the annual coupon? Tell me. 9% of 1000 rupees, 90. What is the total original maturity? 5 years. Required rate of return is 10%. So this is discount rate. How much A should pay to purchase the bond? How much A should pay to purchase the bond if it matures at 1000 rupees? In the first case, the bond will be redeemed at par. In second case, the bond will be redeemed at a discount, 900 rupees. And in third case, the bond will be redeemed at a premium, that is 1200 rupees. So in this problem, what we have done? We have changed the redemption amount. In the first question, we had changed the required rate of return. So solve in your book only or in your notebook as you wish. First, case 1 I will solve when maturity value is rupees 1000. When maturity value is rupees 1000, year 1-5, 5. In the cash flow column, write 90 rupees. 9% of 1000. For 5 years, you will get 90. In the 5th year, you will get 1000 rupees. Okay. Then, because redemption value is 1000, in your book second column, discounting factor at the rate of 10%. So try again. 1 divided by 1.10, 5 times equal to, then GT, you will get 3.7908, and 5th year is 0.6209. You can copy from the first question also. There also we had 10% factor. Now go to the DCF column, which means discounted cash flow. 90 into 3.7908, 341.171. 1000 into 0.6209, 620.921. Take the total of the last column, 962.092. 962.092. Is it right? Now wait. Again you observe this problem. Discount rate is more than coupon rate. 10% is more than 9%. Hence the present value of the bond is less than the face value of the bond. Hence the present value of the bond is less than the face value of the bond. Now come to case 2. Maturity value is rupees 900. Cash flow will be first 5 year 90. Redemption value is 900 rupees. So year 5 will be 900. Discounting factor already written. Just multiply 90 into 3.7908 equal to memory plus 341.171. 900 into 0.6209, 558.81. Memory recall 899.981. 899.981. Now I am going to give you a small classwork. Come on, solve case 3 when the maturity value is rupees 1200. Okay, so solve. Cash flow will be 90 and 1200. Yes, complete it. $3.7908.6209 is already there. Multiply, add. So it comes to 341.171, 745.08, total will be 1086.251. So here the logic is simple. Higher the redemption value, higher will be present value. Higher the redemption value, higher the present value. Lower the redemption value, lower the present value. The more you get, the present value will also be more. Now, dear student, come to the next question. 3. A potential investor is considering the purchase of a bond that has the following characteristics. The bond pays 8% per year on its ₹1,000 principal or face value. So what is the annual coupon here? 8% of 1,000. 8% of 1,000 means 80 rupees per annum. The bond will mature in 20 years. This is a 20-year bond. So for 20 years, you will get 80 rupees per annum. At maturity, the bondholder will receive interest for the year 20 plus ₹1,000 face value. That we already know. In the last year, the investor gets the interest plus redemption value. Now the question is, what is the maximum purchase price that should be paid for this bond if the investor requires a 10% rate of return? So that is your discount rate. So write down. Next problem, write down in the book only or in your notebook as you wish. Calculation of maximum price payable for the bond. Calculation of maximum price payable for the bond. Year, cash flow, discounting factor at the rate of 10%, discounted cash flow. In the particular column which is printed in your book, you will write the nature of the cash flow. So there is a particular column also here. Okay, so write down 1-20. In particular column, write down coupon. Coupon. So for 20 years, you will get 80 rupees coupon. And in the 20th year, you will receive redemption value, 1,000 rupees. Like previous two questions, solve it. Take your calculator. Find out the discounting factor for 1-20. How do you get it? 1 divided by 1.10. Press equal to 20 times. Press GT function. You will get 8.5136. Otherwise use memory plus function. And what is the factor for only 20th year? 0.1486. Check. If you are able to get the factors right, then multiply and add. Keep memory clear first so that you can add fast. 80 into 8.5136 equal to memory plus 681.08. 1000 into 0.1486 equal to memory plus is 148.60. Then tell me the total of this last column, memory recall. It comes to 829.69. So what is your observation here? Same observation. If your required return is more than coupon rate, the present value of the bond is less than the face value of the bond. So write down the note, the maximum price that should be paid for this bond. Note, the maximum price that should be paid for this bond is rupees 829.64 is 829.64. Now we'll take an important question, that is May 2016 exam question, also asked in November 2003 for 8 marks. So first you write here, very important. This question is little different from previous 3 problems. Question number 4, ready. Messrs. XYZ Industry is planning to issue a debenture series on the following terms. Face value rupees 100, terms of maturity 10 years, yearly coupon rate. Now this problem is very different because coupon rate they have promised will be 9% for the first 4 years. Coupon rate will be 10% during the period from year 5 to year 8, 5, 6, 7, 8. And coupon rate will be 14% between year 9 and 10. So accordingly, while solving the problem, you will take coupon as 9 rupees, 10 rupees, 14 rupees in these years. And then the current market rate on similar debenture is 15% per annum. Other debentures in the market, similar debenture issued by other companies, competitors, they are being offered in such a manner that the investor will earn 15% per annum. That means if you invest in other debenture, you will earn a rate of return of 15%. The company means XYZ, our company XYZ proposes to price, underline, proposes to price the issue in such a manner that it can yield 16% compounded rate of return to the investor. Now this company says, I will issue the bond at such a price that the investor will earn 16% rate of return. Company also proposes to redeem the debenture at 5% premium on maturity. So in the 10th year, the redemption value will be this time 105. So in this question, the redemption is at 5% premium. Question is, determine the issue price of the debenture. Determine the issue price of the debenture. Now here the question arises, whether I should use 15% discount rate or whether I should use 16% discount rate. Whether I should use 15% discount rate or whether I should use 16% discount rate. Now it depends on what company is proposing. Company is proposing to price in such a manner that the investor should earn 16% rate of return, which means the answer is 16%. Then why this 15% is given to you? It is given to confuse you. Or if the question was, investor's desired rate of return is 15%, then I will use 15% as a discount rate. But here the company, in order to attract the investor, they are willing to issue the bonds at such a price that the investor should be able to earn a rate of return of 16%. So 16% will be used as a discount rate. So write down the answer, heading write down first, calculation of issue price of debenture. Calculation of issue price of debenture. Calculation of issue price of debenture. Those who have the book can write in the book or you can write in the notebook as you wish. Year, particular, cash flow, discounting factor, discounted cash flow. Okay. So there is a particular column also in the format. that is for writing coupon, coupon, coupon and redemption value. Okay. What is the discount rate you will write here? 16%. That I have kept it blank for you to write 16%. Here the students make mistake, they solve it by using 15%. Whatever comes first in the question, he uses it. And then he will suffer in the exam. So now I am going to ask you to write the cash flow. In particular column write coupon, 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 redemption value. Cash flow first 4 years, 1-4 9 rupees, 5-8 10 rupees, 9-10 14 rupees, and last year will be 100 plus 5, 105. Show the calculation also 100 plus 5. Now the time has come to demonstrate your skill of calculating the factor on calculator. So I will help you. Those who know, please go ahead yourself. Others will follow me. Are you with me? 1-4 is easy. 1 divided by 1.16 equal to 4 times and then GT. So you will get 2.7982. Again all clear. How do you get 5-8? It means you have to add the factor of 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th year. 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th year. So 1 divided by 1.16. Press equal to 4 times. Equal to. Next 4 times equal to m plus. Now memory recall. So you will find 1.54541025. Just use first 4 digits. All clear again. Now you have to add 9 and 10. 1 divided by 1.16. Press equal to 8 times first. Next 2 times equal to m plus. Wait. If you see right now on your calculator 0.22668 is appearing. That 0.22668 you can write as 10th factor. Okay. And then what about this 9 and 10? Memory recall function. You will find 0.4896. Okay. So first you write this and then you write this number 0.2267. This 0.2267 is easy. 1 divided by 1.16 10 times equal to. Again your calculator all clear. Now I have to add these 2 columns. So you will use memory plus function. Ready with me? Start. 9 into 2.7982 equal to memory plus 25.18. 10 into 1.5454 15.45. 14 into 0.4896 6.85. 105 into 0.2267 23.80. Memory recall. So you will get 71.28. So this is the issue price of the debenture. Right. The important thing was to take 16% as a discount rate. If you take 15% and do the entire calculation, you will get 0 marks straight. Now in your notebook write down question number 4, and we are going to change the question slightly for any future exam, because institute has this habit of changing the question. So in your notebook write down question 4. If the question is about the price, that the investor is willing to pay, then use 15% discount rate, and solve accordingly. Then use 15% discount rate and solve accordingly. Why 15% discounted? Because investor will expect the same rate of return which he can earn by investing in another company's bond. So at least he would want that the bond should be priced in such a manner that he earns 15% discount rate. Okay, so now write down calculation of price. I will just change the heading. I will dictate, write down calculation of price that the investor is willing to pay. Calculation of price that the investor is willing to pay. Investor is willing to pay how much? So for that I will now use this 15% discount rate. Okay. Same format, 4 columns: year, cash flow, discounting factor at the rate of 15%, DCF. Year, cash flow, discounting factor at the rate of 15%, DCF. Year column write 1-4, 5-8, 9-10 and 10. And cash flow column write 9, 10, 14, 105. 9, 10, 14, 105. And now let us solve the factors. 1 divided by 1.15 equal to 4 times and then GT function. You will get 2.85497, you make it 8550. Now I have to use memory plus function for 5-8. 1 divided by 1.15, 4 times equal to, next 4 times equal to memory plus, memory recall. You will get 1.6323 and do the same exercise for 9-10. Are you getting 0.5314? And find out the 10th year factor. Find out the 10th year factor. Is it 0.2472? 0.2472. And then memory clear, all clear, memory clear. Now I am going to multiply and add these numbers. Follow me. 9 into 2.8550 equal to memory plus 25.695. 10 into 1.6323 equal to memory plus 16.323. Very good. Come on, next. 14 into 0.5314 equal to memory plus how much? 7.4396. And 105 into 0.2472 is 25.956. Memory recall. Take the total if you have not used memory plus function. The total should now be 75.41. If you use a lower discount rate, the present value will be more. So this answer definitely will be more than the previous answer. Is it right? So these 4 questions had one common theme, and that was these were annual coupon paying bonds. Now we are going to discuss semi-annual coupon paying bond. Now we are going to discuss semi-annual coupon paying bond. So for that, let us first read the problem. 3 adjustments we'll have to do. I will tell you. Read the problem. Problem will appear as usual. Question number 5. Ready? A rupees 100 par value bond bears a coupon rate of 14% and matures after 5 years, interest is payable underline semi-annually. Interest is payable underline semi-annually because that will make an impact in your answer. Compute the value of the bond if the required rate of return is 16%. Okay, so 16% per annum. Even if per annum is not mentioned, it can't be for 6 months. Coupon rate is 14%. Now what happens in a semi-annual bond? Suppose this is year 0, year 1. 14% is your interest rate per annum, not for 6 months. So first 6 months you will get 7. Again after 6 months, that means after 12 months, you will get another 7, and this way it will continue for 5 years. So 5 into 2, 10 times, 1 year 2 times. So in 5 years, 10 times you will receive coupon. In 5 years, 10 times you will receive coupon. And how much coupon you will receive each time? You will receive coupon of 7 rupees each time, because this time they are going to pay semi-annually. So 2 things you have easily understood, that your coupon rate 14% will be divided by 2, so that you can calculate 7 rupees every 6 months, and the number of years will be multiplied by 2, so that you can get 10 coupons. Okay, what about the discount rate? Are we going to use the same 16% discount rate, or are we going to change this also? So of course we are going to change this also. If the discount rate is 16% per annum, then for discounting of cash flows, I will take 8% for 6 months. So it means in this question, 3 changes will take place. So first you write down in your either notebook or, when interest is payable semi-annually, that means you are getting cash flow after every 6 months. When interest is payable semi-annually, point number 1, divide coupon rate by 2. Divide coupon rate by 2. Divide coupon rate by 2. Second, divide required rate of return by 2. That will also get divided by 2. If you are getting 16, if you want 16% per annum, then for 6 months it will be 8%. And multiply number of years by 2. Multiply number of years by 2. Multiply number of years by 2. Okay, so are we ready for solving this question? Right. So in the book only we will solve. Now instead of year, it is better to write period, and one period comprises of 6 months. So that also you write here, one period is equal to 6 months. One period is equal to 6 months. Ready? So there will be 10 periods, 10 half years, and after 10th half year, you will get that principal. So you visualize that you are in a world. You are in a world where 1 year comprises of 6 months. So you have been transported to a world where there are 10 years. Okay, if there are 5 years on earth, there are 10 years on that other planet, and accordingly you solve the problem. That's it. Okay. So do not overstretch your mind. Just increase the number of years by 2, multiply by 2, divide the coupon rate and required return by 2. So as we have discussed, 1-10, write down in the particular column, write coupon. In the particular column, write coupon 7, and then in the next line write down redemption value 100 after 10th half year. This is not 10th year, this is 10th half year. Now calculate the discounting factor at 8% and 10 year or 10 period. Annuity factor you have to calculate. Annuity factor you have to calculate. So it comes to 6.71. 8% and 10th period. Calculate, it will come to 0.4632. 0.4632. And now multiply. So this is 7 into 6.71 is 46.97, check. 100 into 0.4632 and that is 46.32, and now you solve, so you'll get 93.29. This is the answer. Here also you will observe that when discount rate is more than the coupon rate, the present value is less than the face value. Okay. Now here some questions are being asked by the student. What is that question which the student is asking? And you may also be thinking that why can't we write this as 5 year, right? This is 100, and then why don't we use discounting factor at 16%? Is this what you are thinking? Some of you have raised this question that treat it separately. This is half year, solve using half year. I agree. This is after 5 years, you are getting the principal amount. So solve it like a normal 5 year 16% problem. So dear student, here you are making a small mistake. Do not take 16%, because if you are getting cash flow after every 6 months, and for 6 months your required return is 8%, so what will happen? If you have 100 rupees here, it will become 108 here, and it will become 108 plus 8%, so that is 116.64. Okay, which means my effective rate is not 16%. Now my effective rate for semi-annual problem is 16.64%. So if you want to follow 5 year 100 rupees, then do not use 16%. 16% is per annum semi-annual compounding, but its equivalent effective rate will be 16.64%. So you can try on your calculator. Take 100, divide by 1.1664, not 16%, because 16% is per annum compounded semi-annually, but its effective rate per annum is 16.64%. Divided by 1.1664, 5 times equal to, and you will be happy to note that your calculator is showing 46.32 again. Got it? But that will make it little difficult as far as presentation is concerned. I will have to prepare 2 working notes. One for this, second effective rate, and third the present value of principal amount at effective rate. So tell me what is simple. This is simple because ultimately I have demonstrated in front of you that even if you take 5 year 100 rupees and 16.64% effective rate per annum annual compounding, you are going to land up with the same answer. But why to complicate? This is simple. So when the cash flows are being received after every 6 months, all the interest rate which is mentioned in this question right now are per annum compounded semi-annually. In the time value of money chapter, we have learned how to convert semi-annual compounding into its effective interest rate per annum. So first you compute effective rate of interest per annum, and then you can use 5 year as your calculation. But I will prefer this way only in all subsequent question. That was just to convince you. Now we will go to question number next. Question number 6 is for again one more practice only. Rupees 1000. This time it is 1000 rupees, not 100. Bears a coupon rate of 12%, will mature after 6 years. Coupon interest is payable underline semi-annually. Compute the value of the bond if the required rate of return is 16%. So what are the 3 changes I am going to do? This coupon rate will be divided by 2. This number of years will be multiplied by 2, and this discount rate will be divided by 2. So effectively I will take coupon rate 6%, number of years 12, and discount rate 8% to solve the problem. 1000 is your face value. So 1000 into 6% means you will get 60 rupees 12 times, and that you discount at 12%. So that will give you the present value of the bond. Ready? So write down in the book only or in your notebook, calculation of present value of the bond. Heading write down calculation of the present value of the bond. Year, particular, cash flow, discounting factor at the rate of 8%, present value. Year 1-12, particular column write coupon, coupons. Particular column write coupons. Year 12 write down redemption value, or period write down, cut year write period. Period 12, redemption value 60 and 1000. 60 and 1000. Solve yourself now. Solve yourself. Can we check the answer? Those who have done, kindly check the answer. It comes to 849.27. 849.27. Please check the answer. 849.27. So these are the 2 examples on semi-annual bond. We will require the semi-annual bond in subsequent questions also. Now come to the next question, which is based on a perpetual bond. Perpetual bonds do not have any redemption value or redemption date. They will only pay coupon year after year, period after period. So this question number 7 from your institute RTP. Okay, RTP. Source write down RTP. A bond pays rupees 90 interest annually into perpetuity. A bond pays rupees 90 interest annually per annum into perpetuity. So 90, 90, 90, 90, 90, 90, 90 forever. What is its value? What is its value? If the current yield is 10%, that means your discount rate is 10%, and if the current yield changes to 8% and 12%, then what is its value? This question anybody can answer. This is the problem of finding the present value of a perpetuity. Finding the present value of an infinite constant annuity. Do you remember in time value of money, we had a formula A upon R to find the present value of an annuity which is constant forever. Now here what will be A? Here A means annual coupon, and what will be R? R will be this discount rate given in the question. So just you have to take 90 by 10, 90 by 8%, 90 by 12% and solve. So write down below. In your book only you can write or in your notebook. Calculation of present value of perpetual bond. What is the heading? Calculation of present value of perpetual bond. Perpetual bonds do not have a maturity date, as you know. Only coupons will be paid. So we have to find out the present value of the coupons only. So write particulars, current yield, under that 3 column, 10%, then 8%, then 12%. Just one line answer. So write present value is equal to coupon upon yield percentage. Present value is equal to coupon upon yield percentage. Solve. 90 upon 10% equal to rupees 900. 90 upon 8% is equal to rupees 1125. 90 upon 12% is equal to rupees 750. This answer is over. Now just see some observation, same observation. Higher the discount rate, third column, lower the present value. Lower the discount rate, second column, higher the present value. So this is basically the feature of present value, okay, that if you use a higher discount rate, the value falls. Now we'll take a question on self-amortizing bond. This question was also given in your RTP and I am going to solve in the book only. The question is like this. A PSU is proposing to sell, PSU means public sector undertaking, a government body, a government organization which is doing business, is proposing to sell a 8 years bond of rupees 1000 at 10% coupon rate per annum. So what are the information they have supplied in first line? 8 year, face value 1000, coupon rate 10%. Now this is new for us. The bond amount will be amortized equally over its life. The bond amount will be amortized equally over its life. What does that mean? This face value 1000, take on your calculator 1000, divide by 8 years. 1000 divided by 8, 125. That means this company is going to repay 125 every year. So if the company is going to repay 125 every year, after 8 years, the entire principal amount will be redeemed. Second thing, the coupon amount will keep reducing every year. The coupon amount will keep reducing every year. Why? Because your principal amount is 1000 rupees minus 125, 875. So second year you will compute the coupon on 875 into 10%. Again minus 125, 750. So in the next year you will compute the interest on 750. So this way the coupon amount will keep on reducing every year. What is the discount rate? The investor has a minimum required rate of return of 8%, which means you will use 8% as a discount rate. Now, observe one thing. Required rate of return in this question is less than coupon rate. What will happen to the final answer? The final answer will be more than the face value. If the face value is 1000, you will find in this question your final answer will be much above 1000 rupees. So let us solve. Heading write down, already written, calculation of present value of the bond. So in such questions where it is a self-amortizing bond, I am going to prepare a tabular format for easy understanding. Write down year, next write principal sum outstanding, then write interest at the rate of 10%, interest at the rate of 10%, then repayment of principal sum, repayment of principal sum, total cash flow, total cash flow means interest plus repayment, discounting factor at 8%, discounting factor at 8%, and the last column, discounted cash flow. This is an example on self-amortizing bond. Now write column numbers. These are column numbers. Column number 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 is equal to 3 plus 4. That is your coupon plus principal repayment. 6 is discounting factor, and 7 will be 5 into 6, that is cash flow into present value factor. 7 is 5 into 6. Okay, so I hope you have drawn the format. Write down in the year column 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Up to this you have done. This column number 2, what is the purpose? The purpose is to find out the interest. So for that I need to know what was the principal sum outstanding at the beginning of that year. So in first year we have issued bond of 1000 rupees. So I have to pay interest on 1000. Now take your calculator. 1000 minus 125. 875 minus 125. 750, 625, 500, 375, 250 and 125. Calculate 10% on this without calculator. How do you calculate 10% without a calculator? 1000 into 10% will be 100. This will be 87.5. This will be 75. This will be 62.5, 50, 37.5, 25, 12.5. I hope you can get this column right without calculator. And how much you are redeeming every year? You are redeeming 125 every year. 1000 divided by 8. 1000 divided by 8, 125, 125, 8 times. And then total cash flow. Just add these two numbers. 225, 212.5, 200, 187.5, 175, 162.5, 150, 137.5. Wait. Now you tell me the factor. 1 divided by 1.08, 0.9259. Just keep pressing equal to. 0.8573 equal to 0.7938 equal to 0.7350, 6806, 6302, 5835 and 5403. Now I will give you 10 seconds to multiply these two columns 5 and 6 and then take the total. So I am waiting for your answer. I will give you 10-20 seconds to try. Use memory plus function. Use memory plus function. I hope you are trying. The final answer should be more than 1000. Is everybody trying? So, can we check the answer now? So, please check the answer. Check the final figure. If that is right, you are right. Approximately check the answer. The answer is 1070.41 approximately. And one thing you must cross check, this final answer should be greater than 1000 rupees because the discount rate 8% is lower than the coupon rate. Okay. So now we will take a break.